is far enough away from the watermelon. This is the row that's going to have our cucurbits on it. So what I'm going to do is the first part of it, I'm going to put spaghetti squash, and I'm planting them a little over a foot apart, and I'm putting down like 4 seeds, hoping 3 of them will come up and will cover, so that way we can hoe in between to keep the grass out. So they're about a foot apart, and there's about 4 seeds apiece. We're going to cover those, and this row will have a fence all the way to the end of it, about 200 feet. We're planting the squash first, which is a vine type squash, the spaghetti squash. It's a vine type, but it's going to grow on the fence. And then in the middle, we're going to put the pole beans, and then towards the very end over there, we'll finish up with our cucumbers, all on the same fence where they're not close enough to cross-pollinate. This is our field corn. It's an heirloom variety as well. It's called pencil cob. It's because the cob of it is about the size of a pencil, and the kernels are very, very long that come off of it. So you get more corn than cob. The coating that you see on this is a pesticide to keep the bugs from eating it, and you don't want to put that on your hands. So that's why we're wearing gloves, to put that down in the ground. You want to plant them. The stalks need to be close to a foot apart. They're not like a regular sweet corn where they can be close together. This is a foot apart, but when they do make, there are more nutrients in this type of corn than in the corn that you plant close together and can produce a lot of. But there's more vitamins and nutrients. Even the animals will turn down other corn for this variety because there's more nutrition in it. It's a very short corn. Here in Louisiana, we have problems in the summertime when the corn's growing with hurricanes. So you don't want a crop that's very, very tall. You want something that's going to be 5 or 6 feet tall, 7 at the most, because you don't want the hurricanes to blow it down. The corn will lay on the ground, coons will get in it, and it won't be any good. So the shorter the stalk that grows, the better off you are in Louisiana. So we're going to plant our seeds about 2-3 inches apart, and then we're going to thin out to the prettiest, tallest stalk when they start growing. We just did 6 rows of corn. 6 rows of corn. So now we're going to do another of the cucurbits, which would be our zucchini and our squashes and stuff. We want to plant these at least a couple feet apart. We want to put like 4 seeds in a pat, and that way, because these bushes will get about 3 feet across. They'll get pretty good size. They come up fast and they produce very well. Finished with the zucchini. I only had a few hills because that's all we need, but I'm going to have a 10-foot divider in between, and I'm going to start with our little white squash. These are bush squashes. They won't vine all over the place, but I don't want them so close to where they're going to cross-pollinate with the other. So I'm going to start out with a little white squash. They call them scalloped because they look like little flying saucers. And again, these seeds are coated with that blue poisons to keep the bugs off, so you don't want to put that on your hands. These are not going to be big bushes, they're going to be small little bushes, so we're going to sprinkle them down like we would cucumbers. These are sunflower seeds. They look a lot like the ones from the store. And we're going to plant, these are the Mammoth. They'll make a head about a foot or a foot and a half wide. They're huge. And they'll hang down. But they produce large seeds that you can eat or use for chicken feed, or they are very good roasted, salted or not. So we're going to plant those. Still in the hole. powder peas. We saved them from last year's crop. And we just finished planting the purple hull that was saved from last year's crop. So there's plenty seeds. These are a good crop to, if you have very poor soil. It will fix nitrogen out of the air into the ground and help your ground produce. So in the summertime, if you have an empty spot, you can always put some peas down and it'll help fix your soil. And then you can harvest the peas and either use them for seeds for your animal or for food for the people. So we're going to do 2 rows of these because I like to, when I harvest, make it as easy as possible. I'll take me a little lawn chair, a little light chair, sit it in the middle between the 2 rows and pick on both sides, and then move the chair and pick on both sides, and it's a lot easier to harvest that way. I'm going to sprinkle the peas down. These are kind of close, maybe a couple inches apart, and they'll each make a bunch of little rows of peas and sunflower seeds and stuff. So we're far enough away from our other squashes that we can plant our little pie pumpkins. This is a small variety, and it'll do like the little ones that you see at Halloween and Thanksgiving, the little pie pumpkins. They're a sweet pumpkin. They don't get very big, but they'll produce more on a vine, and the vine doesn't get very big. It won't take over the whole garden. Like a regular pumpkin vine sometimes will grow 25 feet. These will grow something like 8 or 9 feet up in there, or less. Usually about 6 feet apart is the requirements. And we're going to plant them a pile here, and we're going to judge about another 3 feet and then another pile of them so that we can keep the grass out in between while they come up. So it's going to be little hills that we're going to put about 4 or 5 seeds in a little pile. And about another 3 feet apart, we're going to put another 4 or 5 seeds.